We have about 1,000,001 things to cover tonight. So what's on the agenda? World Cup, the horse show last weekend, our YouTube video, rider position. I feel like I have a ton of different things to cover tonight. My husband, Herman, is not with me. It's been so fun. He's been pretty consistently going on Facebook Live with me every Thursday, which is awesome. And to get him to come on to social media and to do things like this with me was not easy at first. He was a little bit camera shy, and it is a little weird, like when you're just talking basically to yourself, like talking to a screen. But I'm really proud that he's like come out of his shell, because he's gives just such a great perspective, and he is like the most supportive husband ever. And so I'm really grateful to have him in my life. But he is teaching a clinic this weekend in Idaho. So he's not here tonight. Last Thursday, we weren't here because we were at a horse show with 6 horses, which was crazy busy and so much fun. So I'm going to talk a bit about our takeaways from the horse show last weekend. Before we get started with that, I wanted to talk about World Cup. So World Cup is going to be in Omaha next month. I'm looking at my calendar over here. So April 5th to the 7th. On Wednesday is the Grand Prix. On Thursday, we are going to be doing a lecture on rider position at the Marriott. So in downtown Omaha, the Courtyard by Marriott, 9 a.m. Thursday morning, we are going to be doing a totally free lecture on rider position. So let me know in the chat if you're going to be at World Cup. If you're going to be really bored on Thursday because there's not any dressage or anything going on, then definitely head over to the Marriott. We're going to be doing an awesome demonstration and lecture about rider position. And I'm really, really looking forward to meeting you guys in person and to talking to some of you guys. So let me know if you're coming, and if you'd like to join us, that would be awesome. Let's see. Hi, Donna. Can we Zoom it? We will record it, but I'm not sure if we will be able to stream it live. That a little bit depends on how good the Wi-Fi is. Donna says I'm going to be at World Cup, or we're getting in at 11 a.m. on Thursday. Oh, bummer. All right. Well, it will be fun, and I'm sure plenty of people will show up, and I'm looking forward to meeting with you guys. Yay, someone is joining us. Okay. So the other thing, if you guys are part of Amelia's Dressage Club in Facebook, it really helps me out if you can invite your friends to join the club. So at the top of Amelia's Dressage Club, when you go in there in Facebook, there's this little button that you can push that says invite. Click that button, and it will like pull up all your friends, and you can invite them to join the club. So that would be awesome if you guys can do that. It would really help me out. This week's YouTube video, if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, it's about engaging the hind end. And I give like several really, really good tips to help you guys engage your horse's hind end. So if you haven't had a chance to watch that, definitely head over to YouTube and watch that new video. So I'm going to give you guys a recap from the horse show. If you have any questions about the horse show, put them in the chat. I have a few to answer. But so basically last weekend, we took 6 horses down to the horse show. So the 6 horses were Harvey, Natasha, Luigi, Kensington. Those were the 4 that I rode. And then my husband rode his horse, Frankie, and our student rode her horse, Ralph. So 6 horses, 2 trailers. We didn't really have a groom, so we were like super, super busy. But honestly, I love horse shows. And I think that probably my favorite part of horse shows is just like camping there with your horses, spending 12, 14 hours a day with your horses. I always feel like horse shows are where you really bond with your horse. You learn a lot about your horse. You grow a lot with your horse. And so that's my favorite part of the horse shows. We rented a house there on the property, which was really cool because then I didn't leave the whole weekend. It was basically walking distance to the house we were staying. So it just made it super convenient to go and take care of the horses. But I think that one thing that's really, really important going into horse shows is your mindset and kind of the intention and the plan that you bring to the horse show. So, my number one tip is to set an intention for your ride at the horse show. And one thing that I really want to do this year at the shows is to really give my horse a positive experience in the show ring and to ride more the same in the show ring than I ride at home or in the schooling. And I think that's something that's hard because like when you're schooling your horse, it's like you have all the time in the world to do the transition. But when you go in the show ring, it's like the judge rings the bell, you have to do the test from start to finish. You can't be like, "Oh, like I need to take another circle. I'm not quite ready to pick up the canter transition." But that said, even in the show ring, you have to like really be present, take your time, remember to give your horse an aid, get the reaction, and reward your horse. And sometimes in the show ring, I get in a hurry a little bit where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is coming and that is coming. And when you get in a hurry like that, you don't take that time to give your horse an aid and then reward the horse. And so that's one thing that I'm really focusing on in my competition riding this year is to sacrifice a little bit the score or the perfection of the ride and ride with more accuracy and more clarity and more subtle aids and not to ride desperately. And so Natasha, I did the Grand Prix on Natasha, and the Grand Prix is a hard test. So Natasha and Harvey both did the Grand Prix. Harvey did his first Grand Prix ever. I was so proud of him. He did like such a nice test, no mistakes. I was very proud of him. But with Natasha in the Grand Prix, Natasha's been doing the Grand Prix for a few years now. And so she's pretty confirmed in the Grand Prix. But I was really able to, in her test, like organize myself, do a movement, relax, do the next movement, release my aids, do the next movement, and really be present in the moment for each movement with her. So that made me really, really happy. With Harvey in the Grand Prix, it was his first Grand Prix. And so it didn't feel as organized. It felt a little bit more hectic because everything comes up really fast and it's a very technical test. But I was still happy that, I tried to ride him with that, with lighter aids, because Harvey's a really sensitive horse. And if I go into the test and I put like a lot of pressure on him, it kind of freaks him out and he like has a reverse effect where he shuts down a bit. And so I was proud that I was able to like get the test done, but remember to reward him and release. So anyways, that's my number one tip is set an intention for your ride. That's more important than focusing on the score. And I think a lot of times we get overly focused on the score. And to be honest, that's not the most important thing. And sometimes you're better off to like take a lower score, but give your horse a better experience. Like I've had tests that I've made another circle because my horse had a big spook or they lost their confidence. And so, yeah, I got a -2 for an error and it hurt my score, but it was better for my horse. Okay. Number 2 point is it's all about the journey. And I think that that's one thing that's really, really important to remember when you go to a show is just that it's all about the journey. And especially with Harvey. So Harvey is 11 now, and I've had him since he was 5. So I've been riding him for 6 years. And it's really so beautiful to develop that relationship with your horse, to have a horse that you've like competed all the way up the levels year after year. And I start to get to know him so well. And we really have a partnership. And I think that that's really important to remember, is that sometimes in the moment you get, like, it's normal that you have ups and downs, and sometimes you have really good shows or good rides, and then you have really bad rides. And like, it's, training a horse is not linear. It's really up and down. And it's really important to remember to look at the bigger picture and not get so emotional about all the little ups and downs and blips. So it's all about the journey. It's not about that particular day or that particular score. Point number 3, it is not going to be perfect, and it never is. So I don't think that I ever have gone into a horse show feeling like 100% prepared, or feeling like, oh, I'm just going to nail this and everything is perfect. When you go to a horse show, there's always challenges that you have to overcome. And that's part of it. That's part of the fun of a horse show. Like, first of all, you have to get there. You have to remember all your stuff. You have to unpack your horse. And then at this horse show, we had like terrible weather. So it was like pouring rain, and my student, she did so good. She was out there in the pouring rain, getting soaking wet in the mud. She was like, am I going to get wet? And my husband and I, we were like, yes, you are going to get wet. But it was such an experience for her to overcome that with her horse. I mean, she was riding in the absolute worst conditions. It was pouring rain. The footing wasn't good. You know, it was late. Everyone else had scratched. So she was like pretty much out there alone. And those are the moments, like when you overcome a really difficult situation with your horse at a horse show, those are what build your relationship and your trust and your confidence. And I think that that's important to remember, is like, wow, like we did that. We overcame that. We rode in the pouring rain and we got through the test. And if we can do that, then we can do anything. And so Luigi, he's my quote unquote baby horse. He's 7 this year. So he doesn't really classify as a baby horse. He was doing 4th level. And so in 4th level test 2, you have to do 3-4 tempi changes. And his changes are, you know, they're coming along. They've been pretty good at home. I get to the horse show on the first day, and like, I couldn't get the tempi changes. Like, I couldn't get his changes. They were kind of non-existent. And part of it was because, you know, when you take your horse to a show, things fall apart a little bit. He was a little more distracted. He was a little bit tight in his back. He wasn't listening as well to my aids because he was more focused on other things. And so I worked through it, and I went back to the basics. That's always like what you have to do, is go back to the basics. Just canter, walk, canter, walk, canter, walk. Try a change. Get him in the right balance. And then I told my husband, I was like, the changes are a mess. I was like, I don't think that I'm going to be able to get the tempi changes in the show. And, you know, he was just like, you know, it's going to be okay. I'll help you. And sure enough, you know, every day Luigi got a little bit better. You know, he was listening better. He was more focused. And I was really proud of Luigi too, because on the last day, the footing was bad in the competition arena. Like, there was a section that was really muddy, and I had to kind of cut the corner. And, you know, he got a little bit like frustrated by the footing. But what I was so proud of with Luigi, again, it wasn't perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but he got a little bit better every day. His attitude got better. He was more with me. Did we have a perfect ride? No, but you know, he's 7, and I'm really about thinking about the future. Oh, the other thing, I was reading my notes here. So Luigi, at 4th level, it's the first time that you have to do a halt from the canter. And so you go down center line at canter and halt and then trot. And to be honest, I've practiced that like not enough a few times. So I go down the center line the first day at the canter and I go to halt, and it was like the most terrible halt ever. Like he was completely out of balance. It was all crooked. It was just a disaster. And instead of being like upset or getting tight about it, I just like cracked the biggest smile and went on with my test because it was like, okay, he's a baby, he's green, this is his first time doing this, and whatever, like stuff happens, but we're out here and we're doing it. And I think it's important to have that kind of an attitude that like it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. You're just there to get a little bit better, to build the relationship with your horse. And the judges, they have to judge to a standard. So if you go down the center line and you have this terrible crooked halt, they're going to dock you down for that because that's their job and that's the standard that they're judging to. But you also have to, in the back of your mind, just be like, okay, this is the first time I've ever done a canter halt transition, and we're at a horse show, and okay, that was a disaster. Moving on, next movement. So hopefully that helps you guys. Let's see. Oh, my next tip is about groundwork. So for those of you guys that were in the groundwork masterclass, especially when you're at a horse show, I mean, groundwork is so important. You spend like literally 90% of the time with your horse is on the ground. You have to get your horse in the horse trailer. You have to hand walk your horse around the property. You have to get your horse in the wash rack. And a lot of times, at the horse show, you don't have like the perfect cross ties or place to tie your horse. And so you're ground tying your horse or having someone else hold your horse. And it is so important that your horse's ground manners are impeccable. Like, I cannot stress that enough, because if your horse is rude or disrespectful on the ground at a horse show, it's a nightmare. They're going to be 1,000 times worse than they are at home. And it's going to be incredibly unpleasant to be around them. So if your horse is bad on the ground, it's going to be stressful for you. It's going to be stressful for your horse. It's just like so bad. So really, really pay attention to your groundwork. Focus on your ground manners at home, because it's like exponentially more important when you go to a horse show. Okay, tip number 5. You need help and support. And I think that that's like really, really important when you're at a horse show. You have to have a team around you that's there to help you. You need to have friends or family or someone. So at this horse show, my husband Herman was there, which was awesome. Natasha's owner Karen was there. She's super helpful. My coach Yo Hinneman was there. But it's just really important that you have a helping hand and make friends, help other people. I think that's really important at horse shows. I always try to help people out, lend them things if they need things, offer to help them, because it's hard to do it alone, and you just you need that help and you need that support. So I think that's my main recap from the horse show. One person asked, so my husband showed his horse Frankie. It was her first horse show. Frankie is like a difficult horse. She's really hot. She's spicy. She's not always very compliant, but she was great at the horse show. And one thing that you'll find is some horses are better away from home. Like some horses, when they go away from home and they're a little bit insecure, they look to their rider a little bit more. And so I feel like that was the case with Frankie. We had one question on Facebook. Someone was asking about how does Herman deal with Frankie when she's difficult or when she doesn't want to do something? And, the best way when you have a horse that's hot or difficult is just repetition. Don't get upset. Just keep repeating the exercise until the horse does it correctly. So let's see who's here in the chat. If you guys have any other questions about the horse show, let me know. Let's see. someone asked, I would like to try dressage. I do show jumping. Would you recommend to do dressage for a novice horse rider? Yes, absolutely. Dressage is like really, really important, honestly, if you want to jump, because dressage is all about getting control of your horse, the speed, the direction, the tempo, the suppleness, all of those things you need for jumping as well, for sure. Dressage is the best. I feel like dressage helps any discipline. And that's really what I love about dressage, because dressage is about, like I said, that partnership and that bond with your horse and communication with your horse, which you need whether you're jumping or doing reining or going out on the trail or you're just a pleasure rider. I think that is like the most important thing. Okay, we have a few minutes. So I asked this week on Facebook, I said, what is the best horse advice you have ever received and would pass on to another? So let me know if you're here in the chat. What is the best horse advice that you have ever received? I think my best one is just that tomorrow is another day. And I think that that's really important to remember with horses, is to not get like really, really upset if you have a bad day or a bad ride, but just start over again the next day. And horses are such creatures of habit that if you just kind of keep doing the same thing over and over again, eventually they will comply. Sherry says it's all about the basics. Carolyn, ride the horse you have today. I love that one, Carolyn. And I think that's important. Ride the horse you have today, because, sometimes we have too much of an agenda and you just have to be very present. And horses are very present. They're always in the moment. They're not thinking about like the future or the past. Breathe. It gets better. I like that one. Act like you have 10 minutes and it will take 10 hours. Act like you have 3 hours and it will take 10 minutes. Yes, absolutely. Listen to your horse. Hang on. Being yelled at me while schooling naughty ponies. Just hang on. Okay, good advice. Sarah says, no question. Thank you for all of your videos. They are so wonderful. You're welcome, Sarah. I love, it's so wonderful to hear from you guys and to hear that my videos and my courses and that, all my platforms are helping you guys. And I think that that is really, really special. It's something that I never imagined that I could reach so many people and help so many people. And it's like, I see all of you guys and I believe in all of you guys and I want to help you as much as I can. And it's really beautiful that I can do that through the videos, through these Facebook Lives. And so, yeah, congratulations to all of you guys. But you guys are amazing too, because you do the work. You learn it, you practice, you go out there, you try it, and you come back with questions. So you guys are half of the equation. So I'm very grateful to all of you guys. Being okay with small wins. Barbara says something is better than nothing. Absolutely. Even just doing some groundwork. The reward is in the release. Yes, reward your horse. That is such an important part of riding and something that I think we all forget. Here's a question. My horse is very polite 98% of the time, but occasionally he will butt his nose into whomever is standing by or in front of him. Is the correction for me to get big and get him to back off with his nose? He doesn't move his feet and he's typically very polite. So yeah, if your horse like does that little head shove thing, normally like a couple of things, because if you are ahead of it and you can fix it before he does it, that's the best. Like if you kind of sense that your horse is getting that energy and they're starting to like go like this and shove with their head, right at that moment, you've got to like make them back off and say, hey, don't do that. And I think that's a big part of being with horses, is be quick about your correction. So try to be as quick as you can. But yeah, your horse, their head is really heavy. I've had horses hit me in the head, and thank goodness I had a helmet on, because they like knocked me backwards. So your horse should not be shoving with their head. That's a dangerous thing. Allie says, study your test. Jeremy says, live in the moment. Let's see. I live for Wednesdays and Thursdays. Someone else says, just ride the dang horse. In response to stopping and asking my instructor, why is he doing that? That is really good advice for sure. Star says, hey, Amelia, I'm such a huge fan. I want to thank you for everything you do for your riders. Thank you so much for all of your advice. You've really helped me. Yay. I love that. I love hearing from you guys. So please, tag me on Instagram at Amelia Newcomb, share your stories on Facebook. Amelia's Dressage Club is awesome, but we're all in this together. And I always try to share, like, I wanted to share with you guys about the horse show and just let you know that, like, I have a lot of the same struggles that you do, and we're all in this together. We might be at different like places in our journey, but this stuff is really hard. And, I'm not going to like pretend to be perfect or that everything always goes well for me, because it doesn't. So, Lori says, be confident as your horse will pick up on your tension. Carolyn, remember to breathe. All right. These are all good advice. So thank you guys so much for being here with me tonight. I hope you enjoyed hearing about the horse show, and I will be here next Thursday as well. I hope you guys are enjoying the daylight savings. It's still light outside, which is awesome. I hope spring is coming. We're getting so much rain here, and it just feels like winter is never ending. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I hope spring is coming soon to your area. We are going to be getting in a lot of awesome riding and progress